Welcome to this week's live video. The big news, of course, is the just completed Xi-Trump sit-down in South Korea. From the outset, it was clear that Trump was going to present the meeting as an unqualified success. Right from the get-go, you could see it or hear it in his introductory comments, where he called Xi a great leader of a great country and a great friend. On the plane back to the US, Trump told reporters that on a scale of 1 to 10, the meeting was a 12. He called it an amazing meeting. Xi Jinping, for his part, had a less enthusiastic demeanor. He didn't smile very much. When he commented on the US China economic and trade relationship, he referred to the fact that it had experienced ups and downs. When he did talk about the importance of long-term cooperation, he qualified that or moderated that positive line by adding that the two countries should avoid, quote, falling into a vicious cycle of mutual retaliation, obviously suggesting that that's what had been happening in recent months. Xi's most transparent attempt to make nice, or maybe better put, as attempt to butter up Trump, was when he said that he believes China's development goes, quote, hand in hand with the US president's vision to make America great again. So, where are we now? No actual trade deal yet. Trump said he expects one to come pretty soon. Trump said he will visit China in April, and he has invited Xi to come to the US, expected to happen after that. Maybe we'll get a deal announced then. But what's happened so far? A bunch of supposed breakthroughs that are really about returning to the status quo. China's going to purchase a lot more soybeans, 25 million tons annually, which will bring its purchases back to where they've been the last few years. That's very important to Trump, as we know, as he eyes red state votes in farming states in the run up to next year's midterm election. Both sides agreed to postpone port fees for ships docking in each other's country's ports. China puts a 1-year halt on its plans to radically tighten restrictions over rare earths, primarily by extending it to not just the rare earths themselves, but to products that contain rare earths. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't end the earlier restrictions and trade licensing requirements that were put in place by China in December 2024 and April 2025, which puts an outright ban on some critical minerals and actually puts an export licensing regime in place for a lot of the rare earths. China at any point can slow walk approvals of rare earths going forward, as they did last spring. And if the relationship turns sour, I'm quite certain we're going to see that again. The Trump administration, for its part, has delayed, I believe, by a year as well, its plans to put in place the so-called 50% rule. This would have vastly expanded the number of Chinese companies affected by export restrictions beyond the 1,300 or so Chinese companies on the entity list, including big names like Huawei and SMIC. The 50% rule would have meant that any subsidiary that one of those entity list companies had 50% ownership of would also be affected. And that could have widened the universe of Chinese companies affected by export restrictions to maybe 20,000 companies, some people have estimated. Trump also said that China will be talking to NVIDIA more going forward, and that the US government would play only a, quote, referee role. That suggests that Trump may well be ready to further loosen restrictions on advanced semiconductor sales to China, which would be a huge win for Beijing and very much welcomed. So, what's still out there? Taiwan. Trump tells us Taiwan wasn't discussed. There's no doubt that Trump will be discussed going forward, and China will continue to try to press the US to soften its support for Taiwan, both diplomatically and also militarily. TikTok. TikTok also apparently not discussed. The Ministry of Commerce of China hinted that a deal was still in the works, however, on TikTok, referring to certain companies. And we know that Trump very much would like to see a TikTok deal. So we can expect, stay tuned on that going forward. Trump also said that the two leaders are likely to keep talking even up before Trump visits China next April. So the conversation continues. A trade truce, no real breakthroughs. That's it for this week. Tune in next Thursday at the same time. Thanks.